everyone and welcome to my Spider-Man reading vlog. So this week, Spider-Man No Way Home is coming out in the cinema, and obviously I am not going to just ignore that or anything. I am going to be reading a ton of Spider-Man comics. So what I thought I'd do is take you along with me, tell you exactly what I'm reading and sort of give you my reaction as I read them, and then also my reaction to the movie once I've seen it. But obviously if I do end up saying anything spoilery, I will have full warnings beforehand, so you should be fine, it should be skippable, all the rest of it. But for now, I need to focus on the comics, so I'm going to tell you my TBR and then get right into it. So the first thing I need to read is Spiderverse by Dan Slott and a whole lot of others. This is the original multiversal Spider-Man story, or at least one of the originals and one of the most famous, because this one is literally the first time where all of the Spider people team up together. So this is going to be my main tackle for today because it's 604 pages long, so there is a lot to be reading for this one. And then after I finish that, I'm going to be going on to Spider-Man One More Day, which is a story where everybody knows Peter is Spider-Man and has to... He goes to Mephisto, and Mephisto, in exchange for his soul or something, I can't remember what it is, I haven't read it yet. I'm remembering this from synopsis and everything I've seen on TikTok, but essentially Mephisto makes sure that everybody forgets who Peter is, but it has dire consequences. And obviously that's really interesting because that seems to be the kind of thing that's happening in Spider-Man No Way Home, hence why I want to read this one now. Then I've also got the Spider-Man Renew Your Vows series, which is where Peter is married to MJ and they have a daughter called Annie Mae, and I really enjoyed the first two volumes and I have been desperate to finish this series, so what I'm going to do is restart it and just read it all the way through. And then if I get time, I want to read a Doctor Strange comic as well, but I doubt I'm going to have time considering I've literally got 2 days and a tiny bit on Wednesday to read all of this. I'm doubting at the moment I'm going to get to it all, but we'll see what happens. I was also going to read Spider-Geddon. If you've seen my TBR, you know I was talking about Spider-Geddon, but it actually turns out that Spider-Geddon mostly focuses on Miles Morales instead, so I'm going to leave that one for when Into the Spider-Verse comes out next year. So that one's off the TBR, slightly better for it, to be honest, because there's so many to get through. But I'm not going to talk about my TBR anymore, I'm just going to get right into Spider-Verse because it is a very long comic. Like I said, 604 pages, and it's probably going to take me the best part of the day to read it, so let's get in with it and I will update you when I have read a bit of it and I have something to update on. So I'm now on page 315 of Spider-Verse, or Into the Spider-Verse. It's actually Spider-Verse, but there we go. And so that means I've read the main bulk of the story now, and I am now just in the sort of one-shot bits, I guess. There's a lot of one-shots in this by the looks of it. I've sort of had a quick look through the other pages and it does look like it's mainly sort of one-shots of various different Spider-Men, and that's quite fun, to be honest. I do quite like that idea. I think we do get a couple of like longer bits to do with this, but the main bulk of the story is done and I've quite enjoyed it actually. I've got to admit I was slightly confused because there's a lot of Spider-Men as you could expect in this graphic novel. There is a lot of Spider-Men and it was a bit like, wait a minute, who are you? Because there's like hundreds of them, so sort of telling the Peters apart was a little bit difficult, but I did love seeing all of these different iterations on Spider-Man and like how their sort of personalities differ, things like this. I did also really appreciate this panel for obvious reasons, so that was a really fun panel to read, and I just generally quite enjoyed it. The only thing that really sort of annoyed me is how they take the mick out of Spider UK, because they're constantly taking the mick out of his accent and at points it's sort of like quite stereotypical, and I kind of get that, but even sometimes when he was talking it was slightly stereotypical as well, so I would have liked that to not be in there, quite frankly. But apart from that, I did really enjoy like the main bulk of the story, and what I'm going to be doing I think is reading the rest of these sort of one shots on and off when I get 5 minutes, and instead I'm going to be moving on to One Day More and also the Renew Your Vows series, because I do desperately need to get through the those, and I can read these ones on the train and on the bus on the way to the cinema and while I am waiting for the movie to start. So that that is going to be my plan, because I've now read the main bulk of Spiderverse, and so I can now go on to other things. But I've got to admit, it was still good fun. I still did enjoy it. I did enjoy the sort of multiversal idea and having all of these spider people team up and exploring how all of their different universes are different. It's exactly the same thing that made me fall in love with Into the Spider-Verse as a film. So really enjoyed it. 4 stars, I think. And tomorrow, because I don't have time today to read another one, so tomorrow I will be updating you with probably a Doctor Strange Things first, then One More Day, and then I'll go on to Renew Your Vows, I think. Or I may just go straight into One More Day and go from there. I'll see how I feel in the morning, but good start so far. Very good start. I did enjoy this, so hopefully the rest will be the exact same. So I have now just finished Spider-Man One More Day, and I actually reasonably enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's my favourite, but I've got to admit it was quite interesting to read, because obviously you see more of like Peter's relationship with his Aunt May, and like the lengths he will go to save her, and like how his life has changed like post Civil War now that his identity is out. I really liked this sort of push and pull for him, and how he's sort of going to endless lengths to try and save Aunt May because he feels so guilty for what happened and things like this. The art style wasn't my favourite, I've got to admit, but I did like how it sort of put Peter back into secret identity mode, and like how it's always reiterating that Peter is always this lone wolf, and even though he does have like connections to people, he will always essentially be alone. I also really like just Mephisto in general. I always like those types of characters, to be honest, so it was really interesting to see him as well, and how he sort of like gut punched everybody and then did a final twist. So what I think I'm going to give One Day More is a 3.5, I think, because I did really enjoy it, but it was not my favourite, and the art style was also not my favourite. But now that I've read that one, I'm going to be reading some of the Spider-Man Greatest Villains. So I know I will be reading the Vulture, well, maybe not the Vulture one, but I'll read the Electro one, and also Doc Ock at the very least in this volume. And then if any of the others turn up, I'll be reading those tomorrow, because tomorrow's when I see the movie. I will actually be nearly finished with the movie in 24 hours. That's a thing, but okay then. But anyway, I'm going to read the Doc Ock and Electro stories in this, and then the last things that are physically on my TBR that are completely solidly in is the Spider-Man Renew Your Vows series. So I'm going to tackle these this afternoon. But now it's time for Greatest Villains. And then if I've got time, I may squeeze in a Doctor Strange comic somewhere, because I may have time. I may be getting cocky, but I may have time to read a Doctor Strange as well, which is very exciting, because I definitely want to read a Doctor Strange. But we'll see what happens. So on with Spider-Man Greatest Villains, and I'll update you once I've read these. So I've now read the Spider-Man Greatest Villains ones, which is the Doc Ock and Electro ones, and I did not enjoy them. I never enjoy these, quite frankly. I just never enjoy them, quite frankly. I read them out of interest because they're original stories by Stan Lee, but they are not my favourite art style ever. They're incredibly cheesy and filled with period typical slang, which I get, but it means I can't take it seriously, and I can never take it seriously. So I appreciate them for what they were, and obviously the fact that if we didn't have these, we wouldn't have all of the later comics, but they are only a 3-star as well, because don't enjoy them all that much. But now it's time to go on to the Renew Your Vows series. Now, I'm probably going to be able to get through the first 2 again, which are the 2 I've read today, and then tomorrow I'm going to have to try and read these after I get home, after I've watched Hawkeye and all the rest of it, but that doesn't matter. I'm still very excited. This is the last stuff I wanted to read that was officially on the TBR, then I've got to figure out a Doctor Strange comic if I've got time, but either way, very excited to get to this series because I really, really enjoy it. So time to get back to my Spider-Man and MJ as parents, because this is where they are parents, so let's get going. Very excited for this one. So I've now read the Venom Experiment and also Brawl in the Family. Again, I really enjoyed them. I gave both of them 4 stars. I really like the artwork in here, and I also just generally enjoy the family dynamics in these comics, and just generally how Peter's life looks when he's married and has a child, and what happens when that child is superpowered, essentially. I think I preferred Brawl in the Family just because it's a little bit more family orientated, but the Venom Experiment is still also a really good time. I especially love them going to the Xavier Mansion and all of this good stuff, because I'm always here for Xavier Mansion shenanigans and general trips to Xavier's Mansion. So really enjoyed both of these. And I've also just come home from seeing Spider-Man No Way Home, and it's so good. It is ridiculously good. I think that may be the best Spider-Man movie ever. Like, ever. I mean, I know I don't like Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire's Spider-Mans. I am completely here for Tom Holland's. I know this, I'll put my hands up and say I am Tom Holland's Spider-Man trash here, but this movie for me completely solidifies that Tom Holland is the definitive Spider-Man. The other two are good, don't get me wrong, but Tom Holland is the definitive Spider-Man, and this film proved it to me in so many ways, with how Peter is, and like how he wants to protect his friends and family, and how much he loves these people, and the lengths he will go to try and protect them, things like this. Just how he is as a person and everything else. It was absolutely beautiful in that sense. I loved seeing Doctor Strange again. I'm always here for more Doctor Strange. It's been a while since I've seen him, so that was really nice. I do have theories though about all of that. I love the multiversal storyline as well, and seeing all of these villains come through. The cameos, I won't say who, but the cameos, or the cameo I should say, had me nearly screaming. I was literally just, I saw them and gasped and went I was sat in shock for a good 10 minutes after seeing that, even though I kind of knew it was coming. I kind of tried to shove all of the rumours and theories and leaks completely out of my head so I could watch this with like no expectations whatsoever and everything else, and it was amazing. I cried. I sobbed through the last like 10-20 minutes, and I've teared up like 2 other times as well throughout this movie. It's so much fun, but it's also like an emotional roller coaster of a movie. It's so good. It's absolute perfection. I absolutely loved it. It just greatest Spider-Man movie to date. If they can top that, I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, I have never watched a movie like this and sat there and gone, I can't believe what I'm seeing. This is happening. This is canon. I've never had that before with a movie, and this one was that all over. I spent like half the movie going, I can't believe this is happening, but in like the best way possible. It was definitely that kind of vibe. I absolutely loved it. Such a good movie, and I'm literally leaving in like an hour, well, an hour and a half to go see the next one. Well, to see it again. I mean, I'm so excited to see it again. I'm gonna pack more tissues, but it was such a good movie. It's so good, and ironically, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to read these two, which are the 2 I really wanted to read in the Renew Your Vows series, and I also don't think I'm gonna have time to read a Doctor Strange comic, because I need to edit and upload this vlog literally tomorrow, and I also want to read a Witcher comic, and I've got some filming to do, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm going to have to not read a Doctor Strange one. I mean, he was in the One More Day, so I'll count that. It'll be fine. I'll keep all of my Doctor Strange stuff for Multiverse of Madness, and I'll try to squeeze these in somewhere tomorrow in between. Well, I'm going to have to read these first before I edit this video, but there we go. I'll try to read these first, edit the video, and try and get some filming done, and also read The Witcher, but I will update you when I've hopefully read these, or if not, when I sign this video off, because we're getting towards the end of the video now, because it's Spider-Man has been watched and I've just got 2 more on the TBR that I can realistically fit in. So, yeah. This is fun, but generally, my thoughts on the movie is that Christmas came early. Christmas came 10 days early for me, in a lot of ways. Like, I was never a fan of the original Spider-Man, but like, seeing their villains and seeing Tom really come into his own, and all of the other characters, and Doctor Strange, and just this movie in general, Christmas came early. Especially with that end credit scene. The last end credit scene, and you'll know why if you've seen it, but Christmas came early. That's all I've got. I've got theories everywhere, but I'll save those for TikTok with heavy spoiler warnings. For now, I'm going to leave it here and see if I'll ever be able to read these two. I'm going to read them before the end of the year. I'm going to try and read these tomorrow, but I'm kind of speechless. I have no words anymore. I have no words. I'm going to go because I need to read these at some point. I need to get ready to see the film again and I have no words. So it's all over the place. It's such a good movie. Go see it. Seriously, go see it. It's amazing. So I've now just finished the Renew Your Vows series, which means I've read volumes 3, 8 years later, and 4, Are You Okay, Annie? And I really like this series. I've got to admit, it's a very, very fun series in like exploring what happens when Peter has a family, things like this. The art style in volume 3 is not my favourite, I've got to admit. Like, it's alright, but when at the beginning when they drew Logan, I don't know if I can find that, it just didn't quite look right to me. It just, I can't get the pages to flip, so I'm not showing you, but that wasn't my favourite bit, I've got to admit. The art style just didn't quite click with me, but it improved a hell of a lot in this 4th one, where it just looked that bit better, I guess you could say. But I really, really enjoyed this series. I like exploring this idea of Peter having a family and what happens when they have a teenage superhero daughter, things like this. I really like the family dynamics. I really like seeing Peter as a dad and like how he's like in the middle of a battle with his wife MJ and his daughter Annie, and just start singing Are You Okay, Annie? I found that really, really funny. I really like their connection with the X-Men as well. I really liked in this volume how it started off with Peter and MJ trying to go on holiday and it all just going horrendously wrong, like it always does. And I just quite enjoy the story. I do think the villain side of things could have been a bit stronger and sort of just a bit more with Mr. Sinister and things like this. But to be honest, this series is not really about the villains and saving the day. It's about Peter and his family and how they superhero and deal with being superheroes and a normal family at the same time. So in that sense it was really fun, and I gave both these volumes 4 stars, and that is finally a series I can tick off the list as being done. But now that I've finished that series, I'm going to leave this vlog here because quite frankly anything else I want to read I A, don't have time for, and B, would just be giving you spoilers for the movie, and I don't want to do that because I'm one of the team Don't Spoil Spider-Man at the moment, and this film deserves to be enjoyed without any sort of clue as to what's going to happen, and there's been enough leaks and all the rest of it. You deserve to see it properly without me accidentally spoiling it by telling you exactly what other comics I want to read but don't have time for. And there's no point in continuing vlogging because I don't have more time to read more comics. And with that, I'm going to leave this video here. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what Spider-Man comics you've read recently. I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a spider-related emoji down below to let me know that you were here. I'll also leave a link down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the comic book Sanctum, which has got a whole ton of Spider-Man knowledge on there, all spoiler free if you do want to check that out. And I have also got links down below to my Etsy and Redbubble store, which is to bookish goodies and bookish bullet journal stuff if you want to check that out. And if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!